knows who he was, but if you don't know who he was the designer of the Alien in the Aliens film, but he also kind of invented biomechanical art genre, I suppose, that's used. Yeah. So he took his inspiration from his nightmares. So it was about the kind of the fear he turned into, he kind of expressed it in his artwork and dealt with it that way. So what inspires me is, it does sound a bit macabre, but it is death and loss, but trying to deal with it, trying to show it in a way that is not sad. Even though I'm not a sad kind of depressed person. If you looked at my artwork, you may think that I'm some kind of a depressed goth kid, but I'm not at all. It's just that I've sorry.
No, I was just, I have these visions of the Irish funeral, right?
Yes, that's right. Well, it's a good point, right?
Yeah.
That James brings up is that the fact that, everyone dies, we all deal with loss and death throughout our lives, and it's something that connects every human person. And so how do you deal with that? How you eventually, hopefully, have to come out of it and move on with your life regardless of what the situation is. And maybe there's something to that where you gotta add a little bit of happiness in the sadness somehow, right?
It's the rebirth of it all, right?
Yeah, it's about the circle of life, and I think with artwork as well, I hope that my artwork would live on past myself, obviously. So it's called Eternal Marilyn, obviously not just because she's dead, but her image will live on forever. But in this case, it's also because it's on the blockchain, so it will potentially live forever.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you love about NFTs and how they're transforming the art industry? And where do you hope that the industry will go?
Oh, wow, yeah. So NFTs, I'm quite late to the NFT space. I kind of only really discovered NFTs early this year, probably in January. So I was quite late. But ever since I first discovered them, I was fascinated. I think I stayed up for like 2 or 3 nights in a row just reading about all the different platforms and all the different ways of storing NFTs in the blockchain. And the biggest thing for me is, as soon as I kind of read about how NFTs work and what they are, for the first time ever, I think, I felt like I could have, a long, life career as a digital artist, where I've always kind of struggled before with the traditional art world, because I don't really fit in to the traditional art world, because I've worked digitally for the past 20 so years. I haven't even touched a canvas or a paintbrush for at least 20 years. So I've always kind of wanted digital artwork to become as credible and legitimized as the traditional art world. Not so much that I would be compared to other traditional artists, or that I could be seen in traditional galleries. It's just that so that people all around the world would have the chance to see my artwork, and if they wanted to buy it, that's great. But up until this point, before NFTs, there was no real way of doing that. So for the first time ever, I feel like digital artists like myself, we don't have to wait to be discovered by a gallery or a museum or Prutch exhibitions. We can just sit at home, make what we love making, and hopefully people will find it and like it. And with the passive kind of the income you can get from NFTs, from the 10% or etc. that you can get, potentially you can earn money from what you've made long after you made it, which is something that never or very rarely happens in the traditional art world. Is once an artist sells a painting or a sculpture, 10, 20 years later, perhaps it's forgotten who the original artist was. Whereas there's no forgetting on the blockchain. My name's on there forever, potentially. So it's the permanence of it and the potential that it gives digital artists to make a living.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point that really also differentiates NFTs. The ability for artists to earn a revenue on their work for every secondary sale for life is incredible and very empowering. And when you think of, especially when you think of how does an artist generally become really famous and big? They start off unknown. They may sell pieces for very little money, and then 5 years later they become world famous, and that owner took a piece that they may have bought for $100 and resells it for $10,000, and the artist doesn't see a penny of that money, right?
Yeah.
Whereas now, in this scenario, the artist gets 10% of every single resale, so that and that could generate oftentimes the resales make more money than what the artist made on the original sale.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
I'm just curious, as an artist, I know there's so many times that you would create something because that's what you thought was sellable, right? That the world would want and you could make a living off of because you still do need to eat, right? Versus something that you truly wanted to create. So do you find this liberating from an artistic standpoint?
Yeah, that's such a great point, is that traditionally, and myself for the past 20 years or so, we've had to kind of appease or appeal to bigger brands or companies to try and gain traction, to try and get people get eyes on our work. So we've had to perhaps tailor our artwork to meet other people's standards. But with NFTs, we can just create what we want to create. So hopefully people find our artwork and like it, but at least we know we're making what we want to make, rather than creating something for our brand or a company. Because when I was younger, I wanted to be a game artist, so I started looking at what kind of stuff I would need to make to appeal to game companies, and then I realized that most of the time the artists working for these games companies, they aren't really enjoying what they make. They're making the same thing over and over again, and they're not really enjoying what they make. So I started doing freelance, hoping that eventually I could make a living off that. But that wasn't really possible up until NFTs, and now all of a sudden it is possible. So yeah, you can make whatever you want to make, and you can make it as an NFT. So it is very, very liberating. Yeah.
I love it. And then we get back to the idea of empowering the artist,
that's
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's what NFTs are so much about.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, James, it's really been a pleasure having you on. I appreciate your work in this project. The piece you create is fantastic and has generated a lot of buzz. One thing I will say, it's and this is the whole idea of eliciting emotion. Nobody I've shown this piece to, people, it's either one extreme or the other. People are like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Or it's like, not my thing, not my taste, But even that not my taste people, it's something visceral that is like, that they don't, maybe they, their idea of death or et cetera, it's not for them, but that emotion is elicited. And I think that makes your piece very powerful.
Yep, he did.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Great.
Okay, James, thanks again. Really appreciate all your work
Thank
here,
you, James.
and we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thanks again. See you later. Bye-bye.
Wow, what talented artists you've collected.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm so proud of the entire collection of 15 NFTs. Especially when you look at them as a whole, and because there is some continuity, obviously, there's a theme running throughout. I honestly think this collection of 15, and they're all one of ones, they're all unique. It's a really iconic collection. I think that it'll go down, especially when you look at it as an homage to Warhol, as an homage to Marilyn Monroe, and what both of those two represented in the pop culture and in the art world is really speaks through these pieces.
I would say both of them are priceless.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Now, how did you choose 15? Give us some history about the collection. Oh, actually, maybe we should back up just a little bit. If you are listening to this, we are presuming that you actually know what an NFT is, and you know what a drop is. Okay.
I guess that might be presumptuous of us, right?
Right? You want to do a quick overview for them?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
So NFT stands for non-fungible token. The word fungible is a kind of a weird word because it sounds wrong either way you say it, fungible or fungible, but it is fungible. And it means, non-fungible means indivisible, means that something is unique. So the easiest way to say is NFTs are cryptocurrency tokens. Most of them are on the Ethereum blockchain. The difference is that every single token is unique and has its own standalone value. So you can think of it as, or in contrast to Bitcoin, where if you buy a Bitcoin, you don't care which one you get because they're all worth the same and they're all indistinguishable from one another. But NFTs, you can think of it as if there was only a single Bitcoin and a single Ethereum and a single Ripple and a single Litecoin, and so each token was unique in and of itself and had its own value. So that's basically what NFTs are. But fundamentally, they are cryptocurrencies, and so they take advantage of the fact that they are minted on the blockchain. And I alluded to this a little bit earlier, but what the blockchain allows you is to guarantee authenticity, scarcity, and ownership.
Okay.
And all three of those are critical in the art world. We know that up to 50% of all art that goes through Christie's and Sotheby's are elaborate forgeries.
That high?
It's up to, yeah, I know. I was
Oh
shocked to hear
wait.
that too. 50%.
Wait a minute, can you get your money back?
I don't think so. I don't.
I thought that was supposed to be like a stamp of approval.
Caveat emptor, so you better do your own research before you buy. But you would think, Christie's has their own art experts and authenticators, and they go through the process. But the forgeries these days are so elaborate that it gets through the experts, and so. That's the difference with NFTs. You cannot create a fake NFT, just like you cannot create a fake Bitcoin, because again, it's all registered on the blockchain, and you can see the entire history of that token or that piece of art as in a tokenized form from its inception. So the authenticity is guaranteed. Scarcity as well. So we know, I always use the example of Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card from 1989. Okay, it's going back a little ways, but his rookie card from Upper Deck was worth crazy amounts of money almost immediately because his career trajectory was so impressive. And in around 1994, Upper Deck decided to capitalize, and so they started printing millions and millions of Ken Griffey Jr. rookie cards, and they flooded the market. And to this day, the value of that card is like 30, 40 bucks. And that's it, because there's just way too many out there. So again, NFTs make that impossible. You cannot you cannot create additional versions. Even the owner of even the artist, for example, like if any of these artists wanted to make additional versions to sell, they certainly could take their artwork and mint it. It would appear identical, but anybody within a few seconds could look on the blockchain and could see the entire history, when it was minted, where all the details, every step along the way, and then they could see that it wasn't from the original collection and it was minted after. The date and time and all that will be visible. So again, scarcity now becomes guaranteed. So when you buy an NFT and it is sold as a one of one, you know with absolute certainty, just like you know that there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin in existence and there cannot be even one additional one because the algorithm guarantees it, the math and the technology guarantees it. The same thing with NFTs. So one of one means there can never be another one like that ever in existence. And the third component is ownership. You also are guaranteed ownership because, again, when you buy an NFT, just like when you buy crypto, that transaction, when that NFT is sent into your wallet, that's just a transaction on the blockchain, registered and forever embedded and can be viewed. And so, of course, you give up your password to somebody, they can go into your wallet and take your NFTs out, okay, granted, but it can't be done, like nobody can break into your house and steal your artwork, steal your NFTs because they're registered. So as long as you're careful about your Ethereum wallet, your NFTs are absolutely safe. So these are just three examples of where, and again, goes back to my earlier point, and that's the reason why every piece of physical art, every Van Gogh and Picasso and Monet should be sold for provenance, for history, for everything, and register the ownership. Who bought it? Put them on there so that if this piece ends up, in the hands of a secondary market and someone else, they could say, well, you're not supposed to be the owner. Whereas, so all of these things really, and that's why I wanted to, at a very high level, to bring the traditional art world into the NFT space. To help them to understand how this is advantageous, how it's not a threat to them, and it really should be embraced by the traditional art world because it doesn't take anything away; it only adds.
Well, I love what you're doing here because when I'm looking at this, I think of, back in, if you want to call it the older days or whatever, it's like women used to have all these beautiful jewelry collections that were very expensive, yet they didn't want to wear them out, but they wanted to enjoy them. So they would keep the originals in the safe, and then they would have their replications, right?
Yeah.
So they could wear them out and enjoy it, and if something happened to it, they wouldn't have to panic, right? But this also makes me think about it like this, and I love that what you do is you have a physical piece of art along with the digital piece of art so they can enjoy both. And I know there are some ideas where it's like, no, it should only be digital. But, tell me about some of that because I know, we've seen other ones where they have burned the piece of artwork and I'm like, what? They're like, well, there's only one.
Yeah, that I don't necessarily agree with. But I mean, listen, at the end of the day, if you there was the burned Banksy not too long ago, where a group of crypto guys spent $100,000, bought an original Banksy, took a photo of it, created an NFT out of it, and then burned the original. And then therefore, the only version that was in existence was the NFT. I guess they wanted to make a statement. But to me, I mean, destroying art in any sense there's got to be a really good reason for that. And in this case, what I wanted to do was, even for people like myself who understand the value of a digital-only asset, it is human nature to, when you hold something in your hand, it just makes it more real. And I have received I have bought some NFTs that have come with a physical representation. Either it's a painting and then the original painting will be sent, or Blau, the DJ, who's really big into NFTs. I bought one of his NFTs, and he sent a little crystal block that actually had like the music frequency in it from the song. It was very cool. I bought a sweatshirt that was an NFT, and then I had the actual sweatshirt sent to me in the mail. So, these things, like, they stick out in my mind. Every time that's happened to me, I remember it, and it makes it a little bit more unique and special. And so, I felt that doing this and even so, of these 15 pieces, we have 5 that come with the original Andy Warhol print. The other 10 are digital only. But even those 10, so all 15 do come with, it may have just shut off. Oh. Because when it's put down. So all 15 come with, an infinite objects display because, again, art collectors shouldn't have to pull out their phone or their laptop when they want to show off their collection to their friends, right?
I love this.
So this is a wonderful, it's basically like a printed video, and it's really sleek and nice from our friends at Infinite Objects, and it allows you to then display your art properly like you would any other piece of art that you have in your home.
I just love what you're doing. In fact, I think you're creating a new standard where people sell an original piece of art and have an NFT with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so I guess we've got our next artist on.
Who do we have?
NOE ALONZO.
Noe!
All the way from Seoul. It's middle of the night for him. He's being a real trooper.
Oh, no. Wait a minute. What time is it in Seoul?
I think there's...
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we're good.
Oh, can you see me now?
I can see you. I can see you and
oh,
hear
man.
you.
All right. Well, it's
How did you discover
6 a.m.
NOE?
here.
So the same way, I found his art on, I can't even remember originally whether it was through a Facebook group or maybe a
Okay.
Telegram group or.
That
but-
social media works.
absolutely, absolutely. And so, and Noe's art also, like, it's just one of these things where, I mean, you know, the market is so saturated. There are so many amazing artists, but sometimes it's just, you know, your individual personality clicks with one thing and not another. You know, I was just scrolling through and I saw Noe's work, and it just immediately something clicked inside, and they were just photographs too. And that's what I actually mentioned it to Noe when we first started talking about this. And the piece that I bought from him is just a still photograph. And you know, one thing that I noticed is that a majority of my NFTs in my collection, and I have an extensive collection, they're almost all animated or with some audio in them or something a little bit enhanced. And his was one of the only ones that was a still image. And I think that speaks to how powerful it was, right? Because it just, from a photograph, it was the colors. It was, I think it was the one from, it wasn't Winter Rain, but it was a similar one. Maybe with the Places series. I think I bought 2 of your Sacred Places or Special Places, one of those.
Hong Kong, I believe.
Yes, it
one
was
of them.
from Hong Kong. So it was a whole series that he did, and it was just he'd wander around. You know what? Why am I saying this?
Wait a minute, let's bring up his picture while he talks about it.
It's actually this one here. Yeah. And I think it may have shut off as well. The battery may have.
So NOE, can you give us some background about your piece for the collection on display?
Well, I was trying to, as you may know, that Marilyn Monroe like had an alleged affair with John F. Kennedy, and like once the affair was put out to the public, it kind of took a toll on her life and her career. So I wanted to do something to show like kind of the deterioration of her like public figure, and that's what these 3 series, these 3 pieces are about. Sorry, I just woke up, so I'm a little slow. So if you look at each piece, basically it all kind of falls apart little by little, and that's the first one is on display, and it's kind of a glitch effect. It is originally a photograph, and I animated it specifically for this piece. Like I learned to do animations just to be able to do this piece that I had in my mind, and to convey what I wanted to show, and not something I could have done with just a picture alone.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Because, you know, a lot of times when you think of NFTs, you usually think of physical works of art, or, you know what I mean, like more like sculptures or paintings or video. But I mean, we haven't been thinking of it in terms of photography. So how have NFTs inspired you as a photographer?
Well, they've pushed me to be much more creative. You know, I've been a photographer for 10 years. Actually, I've been a photographer since I was a kid, but I wasn't like taking it seriously until like these past 10 years. And I always thought to myself that I couldn't get better, because really I've been doing most of my improvement during that time. And in these like 3 months alone, I've pushed myself to learn new things. Like I've learned, oh, is that okay? I've pushed myself to learn like 3D graphics and animation and photogrammetry. So these are like new things that I'd never even thought about before. And yeah, it's basically just making me get better, forcing me to get better, because it's like saturated with so much talent. And I think that's like a really positive thing.
Changing the photography industry.
Well, I've always had to rely on like small jobs, like small clients, and do a lot of jobs that I didn't want to do. Because that's like this is what you do as a photographer. Like I'm not really like an event photographer, but you kind of have to do events or weddings or these kind of things to survive. But really, like I just want to create artistic work such as this one. Like I'm mainly a street photographer, like shooting like the environments and taking creative works. So for me myself, I feel like I could hopefully make this my full-time job one day. Um, Fingers crossed, you know, and not.
Oh,
Oops.
we just lost them.
Anyway,
He'll be
let's
back.
see. He'll be back. Are we frozen or not frozen?
Let me just double check.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and ask questions like we wish he was
battery
here.
died.
Oh, his
But I'm plugged in.
battery died or your battery died?
His battery died.
Oh no. Okay, he's still asleep. What time is it in Korea?
It's late. I think it's 3 a.m.
Okay. Wait, give him some coffee.
Yes.
Or some tea. We're gonna take a drink of water just for that. We're gonna be thinking about you.
Okay. Here he's logging in again.
It's all good. I think he just has some technical difficulties in Korea.
I mean, he's a trooper. Like, I told her, I said, it's not absolutely necessary. I understand it's middle of the night, but I guess since it was the weekend, he was okay to do it.
I think that's wonderful. I mean, artists always have so much passion for their creations.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you ever ask an artist who like, what's your favorite piece, and they're going, it's always the last one that they did.
True.
They're like looking at me like, you're asking me to pick my favorite child. Right?
Yeah. And it's amazing. Like, what I love is, I mean, look at this. So Vesa is in Helsinki, James Surratt is in London, England, Noe's in Seoul, and like we're having conversations with all these people.
You
Like,
just wanted to make this international.
Absolutely. It's amazing. Yep.
Now, how did you end up finding infinite objects? Because I love this because you can actually see it. You don't have to go back to your telephone. You don't have to go back to your computer. You can walk through and see it.
This was something I really adamant about adding to this collection, and there's a couple of different companies doing this, but I love the design of infinite objects, and they have different sizes, and what's great is that they're not exclusive for NFTs. So if you have, if you're out with it and you take a video of your kid doing something really cute, you can send them that file and they will print it into this, and you will have it. You can display it, the video.
Now, I'm just curious, once it's there, can you change it or is it set up?
So these different ones, different ways of doing it. With infinite objects, these are actually printed onto the screen. So they are not interchangeable. Some of them you can, so this is...
They're gorgeous. Look at this. These are pieces of art.
This is Noe's piece right here, yeah. Oh. So this was originally a photograph, and then he superimposed Marilyn's face on the billboard, added a little bit of glitch just to enhance it a little bit, and then he's got two other pieces. What's really cool is the other two pieces. So this one is called On Display. The other one is called For the World, and the last one is called To See. So it's on display for the world to see because this is what Marilyn's life was, right? Like her whole life, she was on display for the world to see. So I love that he combined the titles of all three pieces into a coherent sentence. I thought that was really cool too.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, that's a true artist, right?
Exactly.
They do something like, and please display them in the sequence, right?
Okay, no, yeah, he's having technical difficulties with his PC, but, Noe, you're there?
It isn't working, but I'm on my desktop and the microphone works just fine, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. we see you, but hear you, so that's okay. I was just saying, maybe you can comment on that. I was just telling Joyce how the fact that all three of your pieces the titles combine to make a sentence. I thought that was really interesting. Maybe talk about that a little bit.
Oh, well, actually, I was trying to think of like some creative way to stick out a little bit, and this is the best way I could come up with. It took me some time to kind of brainstorm it, but I think it's a nice little touch. I like to take things all the way, push the boundaries.
Animation, and ultimately, I guess,
Yes.
You're a photographer first, and I know you probably look at a still image and see in it more than most people, but the fact that it's very subtle, the animation, that it's not overbearing, and it really adds so much to the piece, and even the background, the ambient music, which again you can't hear because these have no speakers. But if you look at the pieces through any traditional phone or computer, you'll hear the audio, and it's just like, again, very subtle, but just adds that ambient flavor to it. It's really cool.
Do you know, I am loving these pieces so much with these artists, and I'm just curious. It's like, I know you're selling the pieces and somebody's going to own the NFTs, but can we just like have a thumbnail or like so we can have like an extra copy?
Yeah, seriously, we would love to, but then of course then it wouldn't be a one of one, right? So absolutely not.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, and Noe, maybe I'm curious. So you're in Seoul right now. You've done a lot of your photography in Hong Kong, and you've also been in Tokyo as well. Is that correct?
Right. I've traveled around Asia mainly because it's much more affordable for me, especially the flights. So I've been to Hong Kong. I've been to Saigon, Seoul, Busan, Tokyo, Osaka. I've been to Taipei. I like to travel around. Oh, you might find this funny, but like I get most of my inspiration from movies and animation, like things like Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Blade Runner especially has like the biggest impact on me. So anything sci-fi and futuristic related, I usually try to use that as an inspiration.
Tools that you're using, such as camera equipment, software, or was it just refining and adapting your creativity?
I feel it was more like refining and adapting because, I've been doing this like kind of cyberpunk neo-noir photography for a long time, and I never really knew like about crypto and the blockchain. And for me, it was almost like a natural transition because like the theme just fits so nicely and perfectly, like cyberpunk photography and crypto art. But it was a lot of learning. Mainly, I just spent lots of time learning about the blockchain and learning how all this works, learning about the crypto exchanges, and yeah, it was mainly like a big transition period. But like the art, since it's digital photography, it just fits in very nicely, I think. Actually, yes, I do. Yes, I started doing that. I've started doing that with my work, but like I don't want to make it so big. Like some people put like a giant Ethereum sign in their piece or a boo or something. Mine is much more subtle. It's like stuff that you actually have to look for. You have to find it if that's what you're looking for. Hmm.
No, I'm like going, what? What was your Easter egg that was in the different items in your collection?
Well, not in this collection in particular. Like, it's something I started doing recently after I completed these. So I hope I don't disappoint with that one.
So I can show you. There's actually one piece that Noe did, a still that is so. When you, I guess it's just so much resolution in it that when you zoom in, so this is I'll show this up later, but if you zoom in, like there are people sitting on the second floor in Starbucks on their phone, and you can actually see them, all the people on the street. So we talked about this, that there's so much opportunity just to place a little Easter egg in there somewhere, like all through the street signs, like again, you can zoom, like it's amazing the resolution, how much depth there is to it. So
it's so colorful. It almost looks like it's an animated photograph.
I know that's his style. That's what's amazing, is that just from a photograph, he can create something that looks otherworldly. It's amazing.
Well, that's, as an artist, he's taking us into a different world,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Thanks for saying.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on today. I'm so pleased that you're a part of this project. The pieces you created are just exemplary, and I couldn't be happier with how everything turned out. So thank you again.
They were fabulous.
Oh, and thank you for having me. Oh, and may I ask your name? I'm not sure if I caught that.
Oh, that's Joyce Chow.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's from the Hollywood Film Festival. So.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. And yes, I would love to connect with you and the artist later too.
Absolutely.
It's been such a pleasure being here with Russell.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Noe.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye, Noe.
See you. Have a good one. I'll catch up later.
So we've got. Oh, sorry. What's that? Oh, that was. Say goodbye. Okay, so we've got one artist left, and the amazing thing is that he's here in person, James Mulligan. And so you know what? Let me, James, you can come in if you wanna. Are you ready to come on? Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna switch it around, but I want Joyce just to talk to you a little bit for a couple minutes, and then we'll. There isn't, but you can just come sit here.
Hi.
I'll stand. It's fine.
James, we could interview you while you're creating your art.
A little tricky with this space.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's a little closer to you guys. Hi. Hey, kids. I'm thrilled to be here. All right, that's the camera. Hi, how are you?
Nice to see you. Joyce Chow.
Hi, Joyce. I'm Jimmy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Mulligan.
Yes, we have an artist in person.
I am, as far as I checked, yes. I was working late last night, so I don't know how human I am quite yet. But.
Oh, maybe we should ask you. I think they've queued you up. Wait a minute. You just disappeared.
That guy's much better looking. Keep him up there.
Look for the guy that looks like James right there. James Mulligan.
Yes. Well, yes, we're here dying in the California heat wave that apparently we decided to do just this weekend while we were here. We've got a heat wave going on, so I'm thrilled to be here, sweating with the oldies.
Well, what better place to be than
it's awesome.
What, a CryptoJazz Fest with NFTs?
It's really awesome. And we got NFT the movie going on here, and we got live music, and we've got oil paintings, and everything is crypto and jazz.
Oh,
and
wait a minute, they're bringing your painting
oh,
up
here
here.
it is.
Whoa!
Yay! So that's my Warhol piece. So yeah, this is an original. Thank you, Russell. This is an original oil on canvas, so basically there was when I first started talking with Russell about this, my background is we got a little breezy here.
Okay.
So my background is traditional fine art.
Just a minute. I think they're moving the mics.
All right, here we go,
Talking
guys.
to the computer. Okay. You want to hold it up? Okay.
So we are.
Should we hold up Warhol?
Yeah, why? Please.
You want to hold him on this side?
You can Warhol him. We are we're working from a position of a lot of traditional fine artists that are kind of coming along and joining this little family, especially with EZ NFT. And this is my infinite. Look how gorgeous these things are, by the way. They're so thick. Wow, I love it. So I love that. I mean, the detail on the infinite objects is just spectacular. If you guys couldn't tell, we're near the airport, so Anyway, so yes, this is the infinite object. This is a small version of the original. This is an NFT. So if you guys are looking on Unknown Origin, this is available as the one of one, and it does come with the physical. So this piece was many hours of love. But my background is Playboy. So I was
Playboy.
I know.
Is that where the pink?
This is a crazy.
Wait a minute, I see the bunny tail.
So this is kind of a crazy roundabout thing. So Andy Warhol, of course, was a huge favorite of Hef. So Andy Warhol, his debut in Playboy was in 1967 in the magazine, and, presenting some Andy Warhol work. So Andy signed that 1967 copy, and then my piece, I own that copy that Andy signed, and Hugh Hefner signed the front of it to me. So we've kind of incorporated an additional NFT that we're going to be minting that goes along with the live piece that I am painting today, as an additional NFT as a bonus, and that's going to come complimentary as a gift for anybody who purchases the piece that I do live today. So it's kind of two separate things.
What a nice surprise!
But that's my tie-in. So I have a bit of a roundabout connection to Andy with my, I knew Hef. So, and Hef, of course, knew Andy and kind of put Andy on the map and kind of in that world. So it's a really fun thing, and I know that Hef would have loved the whole NFT space. He wouldn't have understood it completely. We're all trying to understand it, right? I mean, I've been in for a while, but we're all still trying to figure things out. But it's been a blast, and this was a blast to do, and it's so neat seeing traditional fine artists stepping into the space and kind of expanding their knowledge and expanding their the ways that they practice. It's pretty fun. So I'm excited to do this live piece today. So basically, the live piece, it's going to be done within just a couple minutes. It will be recorded. That piece will be available as a one-of-one NFT minted today. It's not even created yet, but it will be minted today.
I love it.
That will be available as an NFT, and then that will come along with a very special NFT. Kind of incorporating legacy of Playboy and sort of my connection to Warhol. So it's really neat.
I think you've answered the question, but I'm curious because this is Warhol and Marilyn Monroe. You totally went with Warhol only.
I did.
Without Marilyn.
I did. So we'll see what I do today. That might be a little surprise.
Okay.
But Warhol, I wanted something that was a little more romantic and a little something that was a bit softer, because we see Andy with the crazy hair and the glasses and the Studio 54 days and all that. But I wanted a moment of him just sweetness, because he was a very intuitive artist and he was an emotional artist. So I wanted something that was soft. So this is called Pink in the Blues. Obviously, he was a very pink guy, and I thought this was an appropriate kind of color combo. So if you look, I was really happy with this piece. It's a special piece to me, and it was definitely a labor of love. So
I can see that, especially with the pink.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
And if you look at the NFT of this piece, the flower actually blooms a bit, and we've got the swirling blues in the background. So it's not easy to see, but if you look carefully, the flower actually pulsates and blooms. So it's really special.
Right. We're gonna have to look at it. Now, I don't know how long we have you. They just started playing over here.
That's okay.
We had the mic. Wait a minute. Is this a mic that's on?
I'm not
Should we
sure.
turn it on?
Perhaps it is.
Here is better.
We don't have any head
No,
nods,
yeah.
so that's okay. But I think what we'll do.
I think you're supposed to be starting painting.
Yes, I'm going to start painting live. I'm going to let you guys take over. We'll set up the camera so I can get it recorded, and then we'll go from there.
Well, we, of course, want to talk to you later.
Absolutely.
Joyce Talent, Hollywood Film Fest, and James, I'm looking forward to seeing you.
I'm so excited
in
to
this
be
world
here.
of NFT.
That's crazy, right?
It's like the coolest thing around.
I'm pretty jazzed, no pun intended. So anyway, enjoy, you guys. Thank you guys all so much for your support and for joining. And go and buy those NFTs. I think we're really very much at the beginning of this thing.
We really are. How long do they have to buy the NFTs?
Yeah, so they're they're on sale. It's essentially an open-ended auction. So the auction goes on and people can continue making bids until the price reaches a point where the artist says, I'm good and I accept.
And we take firstborn children, all that stuff. So.
Do you have a secret number?
I do have a secret number, but if I told you, it wouldn't be secret. So bid high, and we'll see.
That's right.
All right, you guys.
Thank you very
all right,
much.
ciao, yeah.
Yep, now you got to go see the artwork. Never? Where did Russ go?
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Do you want the painting in there?
Sure.
Let's do it.
You too. Come on.
All right.
All of us.
I get to be.
The more
I'll
the
be the
merrier.
beauties,
The
and then
more
Russell
the
can be there. Yeah, I was gonna say, scoop that.
Oh, wait, it's got to be.
How's that?
It's good. You're about to get swallowed by a
You're all in. All right, everybody ready? Smile. Oh, you know what? This microphone is right in the
I thought it
middle
might
of
be.
the painting right there, so I do.
Nice.
All right, here we go. And everybody's looking lovely, snapping a few for the old links and whatnot. All right, you gotta have a Yeah, I can
Yeah,
do
put
multiple
up the camera. Is the camera over there? That'll be even better than
So now we just have to set up the live on that.
Yeah,
But-
and I think the thing is controlling it, but I think
Okay.
the camera's now already on there. So hopefully.
Do it with this one, and then set it back up.
Peek out from under.
Okay, here we go. One more time. Smiling. Get all the gear out. Okay, got a couple
Cool,
on
man.
there.
One more. One more.
I'm getting tired of sucking
Yeah.
in, man.
Oh, man.
I did this to it, man.
Wow, an actual camera. I haven't seen one of those in years.
Yeah. Try and get, there's a little bit of equipment back there. Okay, this is jazz in the background, feeling jazzy. All right, I think I got a good
Thank
one.
you very much.
You're very welcome.
Russell.
All right.
Russell, we're going to come watch you up here. Can we get a picture of you? I think she's over there. Just you and me with the background.
Okay. Is this up or?
Sure. Put it up. Wait, this is the prop picture.
Oh,
You
nice.
have the longest arm, so you're with women.
No.
Go, yeah. Perfect. There you go. I know you had pictures. You don't want to just Russell and me sitting here like we're
Yeah, let's have him do it like selfie style first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll do one more
Here,
song.
we'll do all four. You do two, and then we'll do it.
Yeah,
And
Rowan
then you
do
guys
it.
do together,
And then just the two of us. We'll have Rowan do it, or Kat do it. Here.
no, do a selfie. Trust me.
We help us set up these cameras.
Okay. Where are you? Here.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we haven't shown this yet, yeah.
I haven't used the artwork. I know
Yeah.
we never showed this one. As long as you can see the background. Or we actually bring the
Should I hang that up?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
hold it. Just so you-
hold it because you see the back of it.
Oh, no, it's too late.
Oh,
I'm
you
not
have to
gonna
wait
wait.
until it comes back
Yeah.
on the loop.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to do it, but you can do it as tight as you
That's
want.
Maryland.
Yeah.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah, a little bit.
If we do it here,
Higher?
Higher.
No, it's just
it'll
this
be nice, but it'll be, you know,
down because you're
I'm gonna
gonna
be here.
interfere
Now, might be
with
better-
them.
might be better if you're
We just have to wait for it.
Yeah, there's 5 of them, so it's about a minute and a half.
Oh. Okay. It's up to you.
All right, we're just gonna take random photos.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in the background of the ugly scene.
Well, it's going to be actually the best.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
like this maybe.
Misaki, where are you? Go behind the Andy Warhol when there's no Andy on the other side. Go over there.
Quick,
Go behind, quick.
Yeah.
I love that photograph.
I know.
Looks
See
like
the
it's
rain
alive.
too. Yeah.
Behind Andy. Just go.
Yeah, right here. I think he's next.
Okay.
Oh, wait, you got to see your face.
Go, tippy toe. Joyce. Oh, that's cool. Marilyn and Andy.
Oh, that's true.
That was fantastic. What do you think?
All right.
Okay.
Awesome.
All archives infinite.
Yeah, I think it's because I think he's the first. That's why.
I'll just look over here. I'll tell you.
Okay.
Okay.
Take this thing out. It should be coming out soon. Oh, easy NFT. Yay. Too fast. When is this thing coming? Oh, it's coming.
There, right
There
there.
it is. Coming up.
Why don't you pop up, James? I'm in the shadows.
Yay!
Yay!
So do we want to do? I can do this live in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think that should be good. Yeah.
Okay. Or let's say 2:45.
Yeah.
Well, where are we streaming from so I can like promote it?
So it's here. Let me forward you the. It's basically Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook.
Okay.
And it's all Flash checks. By the way, let me send it to you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
You just email me the like what you want to say, and I can just post the link. What a voice.
Yeah. I don't know if I have your. What's your email? What's your
I'm
email?
not live, by the way.
Oh, right. Oh,
Yeah,
there it is.
the live, by the way. Like read all
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, okay. We're still live, by the way.
Oh, we still are? Oh. Hey, thanks for letting us know that.
Oh, we're still live.
You can watch it and take pictures.
Also, you know what?
Okay.
We can. Yeah, if you
Forgot to do the thing.
We can do that while we're live. Come on. Russell.
For like
I
50
always
photos.
love this. It's like, oh, there was an open mic.
Yeah, I sent it. I'm in there. Oh, yeah.
Okay, can we show them how to do this? I think this is really cool.
This is amazing. So what I did was I had one artist create.
Although I don't know how loud they're going to hear us.
I know that's the
Should we?
problem.
That's okay. We can demonstrate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
This student here.
So this is a AR-enabled art where it will work with a barcode. So I had an artist create additional art where it enhances the physical piece. So basically what you do is, hopefully you can see all this, but you scan the QR code, it prompts you to go to this web page, and then when you go there, you click launch, and it's enabled in the art. And it moves, again, it's AR, so of course it follows the picture. So each of the pieces in this collection come with this enabled barcode, and it'll work like if you scan each one, it'll recognize. So if I scan this one and point at this, nothing will happen. But when I look at the black and white one, it'll enable. So now if I do, and then let me just grab it.
Okay, he's coming back to you in just a minute. Russell! Maryland. This is probably one of the most famous pictures of Maryland anyway.
Yeah, so now I scan, and it goes right away. Oh, that's cool. You can see Joyce holding it. Wow, that's really cool. That's awesome. So yeah, so it's really it
The
enhances.
last one we
You
have.
want to do the last one? They're all the same. They're just different colors. So each one
is based on the color.
But you have to get the right color. To
Yeah,
start with.
so you got to scan. So first I scan, make sure I'm scanning the right one, and then hit launch. Oh.
Did you scan the?
Oh, I got the right. I scanned the wrong one. That's why. wait. 1 second.
Like he said, you have
No,
to.
but you know what? I mixed them up. Actually, I had another one. I had a fourth one, but anyway, it's.
Well, like he said, you have to scan the
You
correct
gotta
one.
scan. See, they're a little bit different, so that's why it didn't work. So it knows which one you scanned. But yeah, it's a really cool way. What I really like about this enhancement is that it doesn't affect the original art. So an artist doesn't have to compromise. They don't have to hand their art over to somebody else who will then mix it up or change it somehow. This is completely unobtrusive. And if you don't have this app and you're not aware of it and you don't have the barcode, you'd never even know it existed. So
it's a specific app that you have to be able to do it.
So there's different ways of doing it. You can do it via app, or you can do it. This one is just through a website, which is nice from a UX perspective because you don't have to have the app downloaded. It'll just work off of your phone, off of the camera, and then it just prompts you to go to a particular website. So it's much more effective.
So, but you need to know that company to start with. You can't just create a QR code.
You create the QR code through the company app. So if you're an artist, yes, you do need the app. But if you're just a viewer, like you don't need anything downloaded on your phone. You just need your camera to scan the barcode.
Okay, so which company is that you?
This is I think it's called WebXR.
WebXR.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know if you're an artist, you have all these ideas going through your mind. Now, if you are a parent, you also have different ideas going through your head. Like, this is how we can share all the pictures, right?
Yeah, exactly.
This is really cool.
Yeah, it's neat. It's really neat. So.
Yeah,
for sure.
Ready? Okay.
All right,
Let's
live
go.
painting
Live
time.
painting.
All right, so here I am. You can sit. I'm here, Karen. Come on. They don't need to see my ugly mug. I'm here for long.
No, they want to see it.
No. So basically, we're going to be doing a live painting right now. It's going to only be a couple minutes, so you guys have to watch it very carefully. I'm painting something start to finish.
In a couple minutes?
You're going to see.
Crazy.
He is fast.
So you get to see, we were talking about before. I have a kind of second degree connection with Andy Warhol, and so I obviously have painted Andy here for one NFT, and now I'm creating something live that we're going to actually mint the NFT as live as possible as I painted it. So a piece that doesn't exist yet will exist shortly, not only physically, but it will exist as an NFT. So whoever purchases the one of one NFT will also receive a very large 3 foot by 3 foot hand-painted original physical object. So that's about to happen right now. Fingers crossed that I do okay on this.
I have no doubt.
I'm excited. So I'm off to paint. I think we're going to maybe switch to live stream at this point. But keep an eye out. Bid high, bid now,
Bid often.
bid often. Tell all your friends.
And if you happen to miss him today, you can always buy his artwork anyway.
Always buy my artwork. I'm on Twitter. I'm James C. Mulligan. You can find me on EZ NFT official on Twitter. And we can rock and roll. So I'm excited.
Really
All right.
seeing you.
All right.
Of course, let's go watch it.
That one, but yeah, we'll switch to that one.
Not downward dog. All right, we're good to go.
When you sleep with me, I slowly I will hold you.
Somebody find this.
Just like a lover. I'm waiting to come to me. sleep beneath the snowy ground. I'll keep you in my arms, just like a lover. And wait until you come again to me.
All right. 3 minutes.
It'll come in for a minute. Here you go, guys.
Filled with jealousy when they see you out with me. I don't blame them with this noise, 'cause you're my honeysuckle. When you're passing by, flowers through its side, and I know the reason why. You're my sweet goodness knows you're my honey, honey, honey. I don't like sugar. You just have to touch my cup. You're my sugar. Oh, baby, it's the way the summer comes.
Yeah, I just get crazy class.
Your perfection, goodness knows. You're my honeysuckle. Every honeybee fills with jealousy when they see you out with me. You are my honeysuckle, and on the avenue people look at you, and I know why they do. Boy, you're sweet, goodness knows you're my honeysuckle. I don't buy sugar. You just have to touch my mouth. Oh, baby, it's so we know when you start out. All the happening, people look at you. And honey, I know why they do. Your confession, goodness knows, you're my honeysuckle. Golden, little, leave your violin in the monitor, please.
We're going to set more violin in the monitor. There we go. Wow.
Yay!
All right, I'm gonna get Rich out. You guys want to go talk? I'll meet you over there in a second. All right.
Turn around and say what day today is and where are you?
What is today? I don't know. I'm out. It's Saturday. This is Red 2.0 launch with the CryptoJazz Festival in Port Beach. Campus Jax. Obviously, we got the imported sound effects. And I see we're like in Area 51, right? Anyway, yes. So I am
Private jets coming
James
through.
C. Mulligan, and I am so happy to be here with all you guys, and that this is what you did to my hand. So big bid, big and big heart.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk. Thanks, dude. Here, I'll grab it.
If you want to get it,
It's on.
Yeah, you guys should have both of you guys here.
We should. Well,
While your hands are dirty.
all right. Yeah, will you take one of mine too? Oh, yeah. Thanks, dude.
Fabulous. Show your hands. Come on. Fabulous, guys.
Yeah, that's a photo.
Yeah.
I'm just going to throw all this over. All right, I'll be back shortly.
July 2021. What did you say? July 11th? 10.
I think we're shutting down. I think we've only got a couple minutes left.
Wrap up with James. Hi, James. It was fabulous. The jazz music was going on. In time.
You got it. Yeah, I think so too. That's
fantastic.
Yeah. So we're still live, but that's pretty much, yeah, we're over here. So we can.
Okay, take pictures.
Yeah, designed it as well. So yeah, so I guess that's pretty much it. I really want to appreciate everybody for coming. Trish, do you want to just come in and I think we're wrapping up because I think they're going to turn us off in about 2 minutes. So.
Okay, so this is a really exciting to hear, but also as
Georgetown, I have a all that, but tell us, where can people bid on the NFT?
Yes, thank you for asking. So KnownOrigin.io is the website where all the artists posted. We are EZ365 is you can find all the pieces. So if you search for artists, if you go to their drops page, we're featured at the top of that as well, so that makes it easy to find. NFT, all just the letters. And on Known Origin, I believe we are, if you go to knownorigin.io /EZ-NFT, but again, you can just search under artists or
Maryland.
So he's just cleaning up, but we really appreciate him coming out here and doing the painting and being one of the only live artists that we got to interview, which was great. Yeah, and thanks to Vesta and NOE and Colette as well, who called in from overseas to join us today. And thank you to all of you who are here watching, and Joyce, of course. Thank you so much. I couldn't thank you enough. You added so much. You're such a wonderful interviewer. As soon as we did our interview together, I was like, I said, you're interviewing everything I have from now on. You're the person for me. So thank you.
Of course, they're watching this live. So where can they watch it for? Replay.
Oh yes. So yeah, replay. Yeah. So it'll be on our YouTube EZ365 YouTube channel. We're also here at JAX Hideaway, JAX Hideaway. So you can go to youtube.com/JAX Hideaway. That'll have the video as well. Facebook and Twitch as well.
If you hold my hand,
where can they go?
you can hear the brass.
Yeah, KnownOrigin.io. And we are at CryptoJazz here in Newport Beach at the